Hello everyone. Today is an inspiring morning meeting Jason Stockwood, who is CEO of Simply Business and has written an extraordinarily fantastic book on a blueprint for happy human business in the digital age. So over to you, Jason.
I love it's like a QVC setup as well. Thank you for that introduction. That's wonderful.
So can you share the essence of your book in a couple of minutes?
Yeah, so really what I was trying to translate is trying to create a more optimistic view of the impact of technology both on the workplace, on family life and on society at large. And I think there's an opportunity to take the next wave of technological development rather,
yes,
but really use that to focus on the things that I think are important, which are culture, high trust organisations, and a better distribution of the success of business. And that's really some ideas and some thoughts about how we might manage that.
How do you see, we all believe a lot about purpose. Humanity is something we want to put at the center of our business model, at the center of what we do in HR. How do you see this, future of work, jobs going away, reskilling? How do you help us make sense of all of that?
So I think there's a couple of things. The first thing is that we've been here again and again through history. If you take a long view over the last couple of hundred years, even post the Industrial Revolution, we've had these moments in time. So if you take a longer view, you become optimistic about the fact we'll navigate it. That's
yes,
the first thing. The second thing is, as an entrepreneur, it just creates an opportunity for values and culture-led businesses to create environments where if you have clear strategy, high-grade people, and an environment of trust, then we can experiment our way to a better world through these opportunities. So my view again is that, create a culture that is allowed to experiment with some of these accelerating realities and will define that future, rather than the old model, which is, the highest paid opinions would devise that and execute on that. I think in an age of accelerations, that Thomas Friedman said, we have to create cultures that can self-regulate and experiment. So our role as leaders is to create trust, clear strategy, and get out of the way, quite frankly.
And what are the experiments you're doing at Simply Business?
So my favourite one that I talked to in the book is about, there was a lot of debate around the 4-day week, and there are a number of strong arguments around why it's good for society, good for childcare, good for looking after elderly parents. But most of all, it will give people the space to think about the future and recalibrate to new roles. So we've got this experiment run. It's a 2-year experiment where if we can prove through automation that we can automate some roles, then we will share that benefit with half of the shareholders and half to fund a 4-day weeks. And we have 3 roles that encapsulate that. So we have a head of artificial intelligence that's doing the automation. We have a behavioural scientist that's running the experiments of how we optimise the organisation for happiness, for well-being, for creativity. And then we have a life coach that's helping people think about what, quite frankly, is a scary change for people. So again, it's about setting up the framework of the organisation and allowing ourselves to experiment, but the data will tell the story rather than being a philosophical debate. So that's my favourite experiment, which hopefully will give people a blueprint which they can use in their organisations.
And your last message to all of us at Unilever?
Oh, look, privilege. Look, it's an experiment. My book's an experiment at small scale. So delighted, and I'm just inspired by the fact you're doing these things at such a huge scale. So keep going, keep leading the way, prove the data points, speak about it publicly as you are doing to make sure that, politics just can't change society, but business can be a force for good. So I'm just delighted that such a huge and influential organisation cares about some of this stuff, and you're here today.
So inspiring to hear Jason talk about experimentation, a culture that we want to drive, and so much about taking those experiments and making them real every day in the workplace. So fantastic, Jason.
Thank you so much.
Had a great morning today.
No, wonderful. Thanks for coming.